Peter's here, so I always use the mouse on one. I'm like, oh, that doesn't work. It's okay.
Okay.
It's fine. Okay.
Hooray.
Have you done an Amazon Live before?
I have not. No, this is my first one.
Come to the party.
Thank you.
So much fun. Okay, hey Amazon, welcome back. I'm so excited to bring you Danielle Jackson today. If you are in the mood for a fantastic romantic comedy that is steamy, sweet, and just so much fun, you're going to love this one. So we're going to talk about her new book today and just get to know her as an author, because I love finding authors, debut authors especially, that have their first book out, and we cannot wait to read more from them. And so welcome, Danielle. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
First of all, thank you so much for having me. This is fun. We connected at, excuse me, a conference earlier this year and, just like went from there. So I really appreciate you inviting me on the show. Yeah, my name is Danielle Jackson. I am a contemporary romance author. I live outside of Chicago with my husband and my daughter. I am an event coordinator and an independent bookseller out here. And I have the very interesting kind of background of having worked on almost every side of the book business. I worked for a publisher as a publicist to start out. And I specifically worked on romance. I worked for a book review website. Now I work for a bookstore. And of course, now I have a book out, which is so exciting.
Yay! Okay, you guys, look at this. It is so beautiful. Okay, first of all,
Yeah.
I loved everything about this book. Number one, I love that it was curvy girls, which speaks to my soul. Love that it's real women and steamy and funny. So good. So, where does your inspiration come for the accidental pinup?
Yeah, some iteration of my main character, Cassie, has probably existed in my mind forever. I've always really loved seeing women who I could relate to in the books that I read. I think that's why I read romance. And it has come so far in regards to diversity and, even just body diversity and obviously different backgrounds and things like that. But yeah, she really kind of just popped into my head as this curvy, kind of vivacious, but also very competent and confident person who I was just like, what is your deal? And I just had to write her story. And I've lived outside of Chicago my entire life. It is the city of my heart. I love it so much. So I knew my book was going to be set there, and I really wanted to showcase a side of Chicago that not everyone knows. They're not just going to a Cubs game. They're going to like these tiny little off the beaten path places that I hope people will explore at some point. And I wanted to tell a story about two people who kind of butt heads a little bit, but then also had to work together, and but then feelings get in the way, and some fun stuff happens on and off the photo shoot set.
I loved all the Chicago references, and I love Chicago as well. I've traveled there many times over the years usually for work, but I didn't miss those references. I was like, oh, okay, I see you there. I see what you're doing there. So I also loved that you dedicated this to your mom, and you said, if I hadn't stolen your romance novels when I was far too young, none of this would have happened. And I feel like that is all of us. We all stole our mom's romance novels. And my daughter is 13, and she's like, hey, Mom, when do I get to read your book? I'm like, no, no,
Uh,
no, never. When you're 30. Hey, Melanie. Melanie Johnson just said, love this cover. Melanie also has a fantastic book, too, and one coming out in January. So if you're not following Melanie Johnson, it's Melonie. Johnson on Amazon. You want to follow her because she has fantastic books too. She's been on the show before and is coming back in January. So she was
Yay.
also at our meetup in Chicago.
Mhm.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, she's the best. I love
Yeah.
it.
I'm really hoping she's got dogs in this new book. I like all her corgi references, bird references. If you
Yeah.
animals, I'm in. I'm in. I'm also a big fan of writing normal, average sized women in my book,
Mhm.
because that's so important to me. And I see myself on the page as well. And so I just appreciate that. I think that's what drew me to your cover was, hey, that's like normal. That's me. That's all the women around me that just are body confident. And I loved it. Something you said in the book was, I love when the photo shoot gets real, when she stops sucking in her stomach and just relaxes and is like, just embraces being beautiful and just, and I think that is confidence is the
Mhm.
sexiest thing ever. And it's not nothing to do with body size. It's just confidence and how you carry yourself. And one of the questions you asked in the back was
Mhm.
how boudoir shoots and all of that is becoming super popular and, empowering and personal expression. And I think that is just something really cool. And I've never seen anybody write a book like this that really, captivated this and really
Yeah.
touched on all those things. So this is something fresh, guys, something you can grab today. The paperback is super gorgeous. I mean, I also read a ton on my Kindle, but this paperback is chef's kiss. You had a great designer.
I know. Oh my gosh. So, well, first you held up the spine. I don't know if I'm doing, but like the little Polaroid
Yes.
picture on this. It's my favorite. Literally, that square is my favorite part. But yeah, Lenny Kaufman is the artist who did the image, like the illustration and kind of the curtain. And she's absolutely amazing. She does a lot of Olivia Dade's covers, Mimi Grace, Karen Booth. So good. And then I have to give it up to the Berkeley or the Penguin art department because I was like very nitpicky about this ombre sunset. Like they
Yeah.
sent me so many options for the sunset. I was like, yes, this one. And, we got it down to like two. It was great. It was such a fun cover conversation. But going back to kind of you talking about body positivity, and I think body acceptance even like encompasses kind of all of the talk about accepting bodies as they are. Yeah, that's always been something important to me. My weight has always fluctuated like
Yep.
almost my whole life, and I have always wanted to see that reflected in a way that was relatable, but I also wanted Cassie to be confident from the start, and I wanted her love interest Reed to also just like immediately find her beautiful and amazing from the start, like no questions about it. um and I wanted that to be believable, but also like that element of whimsy that I think you do get in romance and contemporary romance especially too, because it is set in the real world. There still has to be a little bit of a fantastical element, and not that these two people could fall in love is fantastical, but just like the feeling, the emotions, the swells of everything like that. I really wanted to capture that. And what better way to do that than having someone in really dreamy lingerie for
Yeah.
the most of the book. So yeah, that was really fun. And I really hope that I captured that in a way that made people
Yeah.
relate and also maybe aspire to one day, and really just kind of love the bodies that they're in.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I can't tell you how much that speaks to my soul. I've been every single size from a size 26 all the way to a 2
Yeah.
in the past 5 years. And I think I hover around a 10 now, and I've never been happier. I feel so like I finally got some curves back. I'm like, okay,
I
thank God. I was a little Skeletor for a while, and I'm like,
know.
I need my butt back. And
Yeah.
so I love reading books that just make me feel like I have a place, like I can fit in, and I'm like, okay, we don't have to do that. We don't have to be like hyper focused on that. I never
Yeah.
want to focus on that because I'm such a foodie, and I just I don't like exercise. I think I would be the skinniest person in the world if book reading was a form of cardio.
Totally. 100%.
Olympic athlete.
Yeah.
I'd be my Goodreads account would be like my stats for the Olympics. They'd be like all the way. She's going gold.
100%. Oh my gosh, I love that analogy. I'm gonna think about that for a while.
I know. I just have to like incorporate like walking with Audible books, which speaking of Audible, if you guys are Audible listeners, you can grab the accidental pinup down below. I have it pulled up. I'm a huge Audible gal myself. I've always got something going on I'm crazy. I've always got something on my Kindle, something on Audible, and a physical in hand all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes and they're always different. Like I've got a little dark romance over here, which
Mhm.
I've got a rom com over here, and then I've got a more serious contemporary over here.
Yeah.
I'm a mess. But it's hey, it's
No,
why I am
that's
the Olympian reader that I am.
there you go. Exactly. No, I'm the same way. I usually have something on my Kindle, a physical book, and then I usually am reading a graphic novel that I've either taken out from the library or that is like on Hoopla or something like that for me. So yeah, totally get it.
Um, I'm interviewing. I just got one in the mail the other day. Anna Todd's graphic novel. I didn't even know she had one.
Yeah.
I have her book for the show coming up, and they sent it to me, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." So now
Cool.
I want to buy all the graphic novels.
Yeah, that's really fun. Yeah, I've seen her graphic novels. They look really fun. I haven't read one yet, but yeah, they look great.
How do you even focus working in a bookstore? I would be hiding. I'd be like, I gotta go to the supply closet with this.
No, here's the thing is the people, so like I'm like a part of the marketing department and we're actually in the basement of the bookstore. So I'm like nowhere near the actual bookshop. And it's when I do go up to the bookshop, I'm always like, oh, I need to come up here more. It's so nice. It's a bookstore. But yeah, no, it's very easy to get distracted because you're just like, oh, what arrived today? Like 2 weeks before the pub date. Like that's what we get to see. It is really fun.
That is really fun. So where did I know you stole your mom's books when you
Yeah.
were little. Where did your love of reading and writing begin?
I think as soon as I probably understood what a book was, like really like, oh, this is a story. Like I like to listen. Like my whole life I have been a book person. It has never, when I was in middle school, I volunteered at the library. I was an English major in college. I started working for a publisher as soon as I could. And I've always known that books were like that was going to be the thing. And I know a lot of people say sometimes like don't work with the thing you're also like creatively passionate about, but I think books is publishing and the book business is really unique in that like you can absolutely 100% love books and you can also have a career in it. And I think to some extent you do have to compartmentalize. I think I am a lot closer to the business side of things than most debut authors are. And so on the one hand, it has helped me. On the other hand, it's like, I know too much about what's happening behind the scenes right now. But I've been able to compartmentalize in a way that's different. And the other cool thing is I don't just work in romance anymore. I think that if while I was a publicist at a book publisher for romance, I did not write then. And now I'm a little bit further out from it. I work with all different types of authors and genres and subgenres. And it has given me the space to be able to kind of write the book that I wanted to write.
What made you want to start writing?
I mean, I've always written, but it wasn't until it was like I've always tried to do NaNoWriMo National Novel Writing Month every November, from like 2012 or 2013 on, and I never completed ever. But the one time I did was for when I was drafting this book. And I've told this story a lot, but I'm going to tell it because it's a good one. But I was like in this room in my office and I was like supposed to be writing. It was my writing time. But my daughter, who was 5 at the time, was like on the floor playing or coloring or whatever. And I was just like, oh, I cannot write today. I don't know what I'm doing, just complaining out loud. And she just looked up at me in that cute little innocent kid way and was just like, Mama, just write the book.
Oh,
And I did, like, like it was no big deal, like just write the book. And then I did. This is the book. So
I love that. I know. I love how kids are just like they take all the drama out of it. They're like, just do it.
do the thing. And that's it. And so yeah, that is my advice, I would say, to anyone writing, whether you're aspiring or you still are and you're having, an issue or whatever. It really is just to sit down and write. That's the hardest part, is like sitting down and actually writing. Yeah. So like my kid said, just write the book.
Okay. A lot of authors say butts in chair. Just get your butt in
Yeah,
the chair. Just do it.
exactly. Yep,
Awesome.
totally.
Well, what are you currently working on right now?
Yeah, so I just finished up my final, hopefully, fingers crossed, my final round of revisions on what will be the second book. That comes out next summer-ish. I don't have an exact date and I don't have an exact title, but that should be coming in the next few months, and hopefully another cover pretty soon. Yeah, and so we will, and so that's what I've been working on. It is two side characters from this first book. They are getting their story told. It's still set in Chicago. It's set over the summer. There's like a street festival, like food truck aspect to it as well, that I had so much fun writing.
Right, because
And
there's research involved. You have to go try out all the food trucks.
well, what's really funny about this second book is that I wrote the bulk of it during the summer of 2020, which was like that
Oh,
didn't go anywhere. So I think I was writing like the summer I wanted to have.
yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, I definitely, whenever I can, there's always something to do in Chicago in the summer. So I'm always trying, I was like trying to infuse all of that into this book. And so hopefully these characters have a lot of fun and people enjoy reading about it.
I love that so much.
Mm.
What I always like to ask, what are you reading right now? I know you gave me a list of some fun stuff. To Catch a Raven.
Yes. Oh, To Catch a Raven by Beverly Jenkins, Miss Bev, as everyone knows her in Romance Landia. This is a historical romance. It's a bit of a heist romance. A woman who is a renowned or notorious thief has to help like a Pinkerton spy who kind of forces her to do so. There's a lot of backstory that's very interesting, but sounds like a lot when you actually start talking about it. But anyway, she has to help or recover a stolen copy of the Declaration of Independence, and she has to go act as a servant in a former Confederate state, obviously, and a former Confederate official, which is very harrowing. And she gets paired up with this man who she does not know, and they have to pretend they're married so they can work together to get this Declaration of Independence.
Woo!
Yeah, it's really good. It's delightful. It is like, it reminds me kind of like of old school Beverly Jenkins. Like there's a caper. It's
Yeah.
very steamy. It's really highly recommend. And the best part about Beverly Jenkins in general is you always learn something new.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm a nerd. I like to learn new things. So
Me too.
yeah, it's super, super fun.
I love when there's things in books that I have to look up. And again, like sometimes in editing, they'll be like, oh, take this out. People might not know that. I'm like, that's the whole point.
Exactly.
That's the whole point. So I love that. And then I'm also a Sarah McLean fan too. And I haven't read Heartbreaker yet.
Oh
Um,
my gosh, get ready. Get ready. It's so good. It's another historical romance. This is the second book in her Hell's Bells series. The first one was Bombshell. This one is Heartbreaker. Adelaide is so there's like a theme here because Adelaide, the main character, is also she's like a pickpocket. Like she is a thief. But she has kind of gotten away from that side of her life, but she's still doing some kind of nefarious things, but with good, like at its core, these are really good things. And it's again, it's a caper, it's a road trip romance with carriages. And it's really cool. And then the Duke that she is kind of paired up against, they are just so like they're both like so into the other person, but they're also working against each other. So like there's this really just awesome tension. So, so wonderful.
I had her on the show last spring and she talked about it and just hearing it from her explaining it and she's so good. Like I asked her a question. I was like, "Do you think they said the F word back then?" And she was like, "I know they did." And then
Yeah.
she brought receipts. She's like, this, and this, it describes. And I was like, okay, this
Yeah.
lady researches. She knows this era.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Both, I would say but Sarah McLean and Beverly Jenkins, but really almost like all historical romance authors, they know now they like if they put it in a book, people are easily gonna just like go Google
yeah,
what's there. So they know what they're doing. It's amazing.
because we watched my husband and I watched 1883, and they say the F word in there, and I'm like, do you think they really said that back then? And he's like, I don't know. And so I asked her, and I was just
Yeah.
backing up. She was like, and here's where it came from.
Amazing. Awesome.
Another one that I'm so excited about, you guys. Make sure you're following because we have Chandra tomorrow, Chandra Bloomberg, on the show to talk about her new book, Stirring Up Love. She had a previous book, Digging Up Love, that I just love so much as well. And I can't wait to talk to her about this one because any book that has food and restaurants in it, just take my money.
Yeah. 100% agree. That book is such a delight. You're going to read it in like an afternoon. It's so cute. It's fun. Another road trip. I'm noticing, like, I'm looking at my thing. I was like, look at all of these parallels. But yeah, it's a road trip romance. It's really, really fun. The latest thing I've been saying about this is like, if you liked the TV show The Bear and the main character on that show, Carmi, the hero of Chandra's book is like kind of like him. Like, so everyone's obsessed with Carmi. You're gonna be obsessed with the main or the love interest in Stirring Up Love. Yeah.
I love that too. And speaking of deliciousness, this is another delicious book too. I blame like 2 to 3 pounds on Jamie Wesley. Because I was like, I think I need a scone, maybe a cupcake. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe both. I don't know.
Yeah. That's
This
so
is a
fun.
good one too.
Yeah.
She's
Super
so
cute.
sassy.
Yeah. I
Like,
love it.
love it. The Bromance Recipe. I haven't read that one yet. That's on my TBR. That one
Oh
looks
yeah.
good too. And then From Bad to Cursed. Not read that one yet.
Yeah, From Bad to Cursed by Lana Harper. That is like it's a witchy romance. So her book, Payback's a Witch, came out last fall with like all of the other witchy
Mm-hmm.
small town romances. And so this is continuing that. And it takes kind of like a dark witch who practices like the dark arts. And she's paired up with a guy who's like an earth. He's like really into like the earth and like grows things and is really in tune with animals, and they have to kind of solve a mystery of a demon that she may or may not have summoned, and they have to figure out how to get rid of it together before it like ruins their town.
Well, that's going to be perfect for this witchy season coming up.
Yeah.
And then another friend we met in Chicago,
Yeah.
Angelina L.M. Lopez. I loved this one. I am so excited to interview her. She'll be coming up on the show, and I love this cover too.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That's another book too where I felt like I learned a lot. I did not know about all of like the Mexican immigrants who had come in from Texas like into Oklahoma, who really built the railroads that go across the country. And so one of the characters in her book, it's like she learns about her ancestry and like kind of how this town started, and like their family bar that's like going under, and there's a deed that's missing. It's really, really delicious and sexy from chapter one.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm actually in Oklahoma.
Ooh, yeah. So see, you're
Go
gonna
to the local. I should make some TikToks for her.
yeah, you should. That'd be so fun.
And then Camilla Knows Best. I've not read that yet. I don't know how I haven't read that yet, but it's on my TBR.
Yeah, Farah Harn is another author who does really great. She writes food like no one else. So this is an Emma retelling, an Emma by Jane Austen
Okay.
retelling. So she throws these amazing like Bollywood video like or movie watching parties, and she like has a whole spread. And I was like, I'm so hungry while I'm reading this book, but I also just want to sit here and keep reading this book because it was such a delight. So
Aw, I love that.
yeah.
Let's see, what else is super good that's coming up? Well, I don't know if you ever read any Megan Quinn.
Not lately, but tell me more.
I want to say this is the funniest book I've read in a while. Okay, if you liked The Princess Diaries, but like 5 level spice.
Ooh, yeah, I'm gonna write this down. Look at
Okay,
this.
so
Really writing it down.
I love Megan. I met her at Book Bonanza, and
Yeah.
I didn't even care what people thought of me at the time because my friend is like such a diehard fan. She's like, I only want to meet Megan Quinn. And I'm like, I actually know her. Like, I had her on the show. If I see her and she remembers me and doesn't think I'm a freak, maybe I can get you to meet her. And she's like, oh my gosh, if you did that, my world would be complete. And I was like, well, okay, let's complete your world. So I see Megan standing by a fountain. So I like drop everything. And it's like
Yeah.
a scene from Friends, that Monica moment where she's like, Monica! And then my friend comes running out, yeah? And she
Yeah.
like left a Starbucks line, left her stuff there, everything, and comes running. And she's like, Megan Quinn! And Megan Quinn, of course, is the coolest lady ever and so down to earth and funny. And she doesn't even know what to do. She's just like, don't hurt me. Like, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Megan, I need you to meet Leslie. So then this book came out and she sent me an advance copy, and I did nothing for like a whole day besides
Amazing.
this book, but it was so funny, and it takes place in this fictitious country in Northern Europe, and it's like, I don't know, Scandinavian. They go there, and it just, she created this whole country that I'm obsessed with now. Thanks, Megan. And I mean, I'm just like, now I want to eat all the food. Now I want to hike a glacier. I'm like, what? It's
Yeah,
just so funny. She writes the most off the wall things that you're just like
I
snorting.
adore.
So
Yeah,
really love her. Another lady that I super love is Sarah Goodman Confino. I know you've probably seen this all over Amazon because it's so good. But Sarah is actually so funny in real life too. When
amazing.
you see her, you're like, now I know why you write the way you do, because she's so funny. And she speaks in movie quotes, which I totally appreciate.
Mhm.
And not only movie quotes, but she speaks in like 80s and 90s movies.
The
So
best.
the best. So I'll just randomly send her a Instagram message with a line from a movie. That's it. And she'll come back like that with another
Yeah.
one that matches
Uh,
it, and I'm like, dang it, you're good. So I got her on Troop Beverly Hills. I
mhm.
sent her a line from that, and she immediately bounced back with a repeated line, and I'm like, dang, she's good. And then she'll say another movie. I don't know, she's just really funny. And then
That's
it
great.
comes across, she's very that snap quick fast humor. That's how she
Oh,
writes too. So this is actually, if you're a Kindle Unlimited reader, it's on Kindle Unlimited, and you can listen to it on there free.
mhm.
A lot of people don't know that. If you and this isn't like me selling Kindle Unlimited, although I do read and listen to a lot of books on there. You can listen to this on there for free. But I highly recommend Audible, and if you haven't, you know, read that, definitely start listening to books. I didn't think I was an Audible person, but
Yeah.
I think you just have to find the correct Audible for you. So a lot of people are like, I can't listen. I have the attention span of a gnat. I mean,
Yeah.
I want to blame it on 4 kids, but it's the way the good Lord made me. So, but when I found some really good narrators, I mean,
Yeah.
I can lose myself in a book. But I also stop books that I just don't like the narrator on, and I'll just go read the physical copy. So, if you
Mm,
haven't given Audible a chance, well, what are you waiting for? The accidental pinup is waiting for you.
there.
No shameless plug there. Just go.
You. I love that. No, I feel the same way. For a long time, I could only listen to like nonfiction in
Listen.
audio for some reason. But then yeah, if you find a narrator who you enjoy, that makes all the difference. And then I will like search by narrator rather than by book or genre, like that is really important. So yeah.
My one of my PAs said, "There's something just so luxurious of having a book read to you," and I was like, "Oh, there
Yeah. Good
is.
way to say it. Yeah,
It's just so soothing and
definitely.
amazing." So, well, what advice would you have for an aspiring author? I know you kind of touched on that a
Yeah.
little bit earlier, but what advice would you give?
Yeah, I mean, in addition to just like sitting down and writing, just write the book. I could just like hear her little voice saying that. Um, but no, I think so. A lot of writers say this in some way, shape, or form, but it's like to write the book you want to read. But I think you should write the book you want to write, because I think what you want to write and what you want to read can be two separate things. I think it's really important to think about like your characters' motivations, why this story is compelling, why the story needs to be told. And I think that really can inform the way that you can sit down and just write the book. And I think when you have kind of that clear goal in mind, whether it's an overarching theme or it's kind of a moral or something along those lines. I think when you sit down and you really write the book that you want to write, that's going to make you proud as a writer, that can really motivate you in a different way. Um, I think it also kind of, for me at least, like, knowing that I'm writing this next book and I'm drafting something totally new that like no one even knows about. Aside from like my husband who has to listen to me brainstorm out loud sometimes. But like I think, that drives you to be a better writer, to continue to grow as a writer too. And I think that's something I know I'm always striving to do, and to, to hopefully make a difference in my writing trajectory. If that sounds very grandiose, but
Nope,
yeah, that's what
makes
is
sense.
kind of in the back of my mind while I'm working on something new.
Oh, and I can just see your little girl like holding your book, like, yeah, I made her do this.
Basically, yeah. What's funny is that I did, like, I signed one and gave it to her, and she's like, I'm gonna read it. And I'm like, are you?
Oh, you're like, "Ah."
Okay. It was one of those, like, well, if you have any questions, let me know and we will talk about it.
That's awesome. Well, where else can we find you and support you online as well? Also,
Yeah.
everyone follow her here on Amazon so that you don't miss out on any of her upcoming releases. If you just click on the hyperlink author underneath her book, you can follow her there. And then Amazon does a really good job of sending out an email if something new is coming out so that you don't miss out on any of her upcoming books.
My website is daniellejacksonbooks.com. I'm most active on Instagram. I'm at djacksonbooks there. And then I'm also on Twitter kind of sporadically, and I'm also djacksonbooks there as well.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This was so much fun. Everybody, grab her new book. You will not be sorry. It is such a good one. Needs to be on your shelf, needs to be on your TBR pile at the top.
Yeah, thank you so much, Erin. This was an absolute delight.
Awesome. Well, everybody, I'll see you on the next one tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central. You're going to love Chandra Bloomberg. All right. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Stand by 1 second.